Welcome to Mauricio's Corner. Thank you for joining us. As always, excited to have a teammate in the corner starting this week, a good friend, Cole Pepper. Thank you for joining us, Cole. Glad to have you on board.
It's great. I've been watching Mauricio's Corner for the last several weeks here. I'm excited to be a part of it now and looking forward to seeing more about the USL Championship and the teams. It's been great to learn so far what we've learned and looking forward to more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this week we had US Open Cup, right? We had a couple games in US Open Cup, couple teams moving on. So we're excited to see how far USL Championship teams can actually get this year.
We knew there would be at least one USL Championship team going through to the round of 16 because Birmingham Legion was taking on Memphis 901. Birmingham with a 3-0 win there. And Pittsburgh Riverhounds with a 1-0 win over New England Revolution from MLS. So you've got two teams on to the round of 16 in Mauricio. Both of them will host games in the round of 16. Pittsburgh hosts Columbus Crew, and Birmingham will host Charlotte, both on May the 24th. What a great opportunity for that kind of atmosphere for these USL Championship teams.
Well, absolutely. You know, one of the lower division teams being able to host an MLS team at home. We've seen what Sac Republic did last year. We even in the fourth and fifth round, the opportunity to have that in your, in front of your home crowd, that just gives you that extra boost of energy. Certainly, it'll be interesting to see how teams manage their cup roster versus their league roster. I think that's a management standpoint now, but exciting for Pittsburgh to be able to host another game, hopefully come out with another cup set.
And it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Great, of course, the oldest tournament in North America. Great to see some USL Championship teams making it deep into the field this year. All right, as for the USL Championship regular season run of play, we do want to take a close look now at the standings and how things look for the Eastern Conference, because that's where Jacksonville will be playing once JaxUSL will be playing on the field in the East. So Charleston on top still, but Mauricio, they're coming off a tough loss.
Yeah, really unprecedented, right? They've been on top for a couple of weeks now. One of the strongest teams, but losing 7-0 to defending champ. So it's not like it's a team that they shouldn't lose to, but certainly where they are in 2023, a very unexpected score.
Louisville with the game in hand, just a point behind there. And we should point out that Louisville has not dropped a match in the last 5, 3 wins and 2 draws. We can also say the same for Memphis, despite the U.S. Open Cup defeat. They have been unbeaten in their last 5 in USL Championship play. And take a look at the Tampa Bay Rowdies. There they are, starting to make a move here. They've won 3 straight. They picked up 9 points from 3 games, and there they are in 4th.
Yeah, 3 teams that you mentioned that had a strong 22 season. And you expect Louisville and Tampa Bay Rowdies, Memphis 901, they were really strong last year. I think all 3 teams started slow due to injury a little bit. The Rowdies losing their MVP and Leo Fernandez, have to figure out how to fill in that gap. But 3 teams are now starting to creep up. And with Battery dropping points this past week, he has given all of them an opportunity to see the number 1 standing, at reach.
All right, we see there that the playoff line, we're early on, just about a quarter of the way through the season, a little more, but you've got those teams there, 1 through 8, that are trying to contend for the spots in the postseason. The top 8 in each conference will make it to the postseason, and that's something that bears watching as we get closer to the end of the year. Now, to the Western Conference standings, we'll point out again right at the top, Sacramento Republic. Not only do they lead the way, 6 wins, no losses, 3 draws, they're also plus 14 in their goal differential. They have been playing some impressive soccer so far.
Yeah, they're comfortable at leading at the front, right? Coach Mark Briggs has a team really organized, a team that doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes. And I think early in the season, the least amount of mistakes you can make will fare well for you. And I think a lot of other teams have tried to play more expensive, a little bit riskier, but Coach Briggs has his team really well organized. They do get forward, they do have some talented players, but they don't leak a whole lot. So that goal differential, sometimes we think that it's goals plus, but it's really not conceding a whole lot of goals. And he's got his team rolling right now.
Dare I say, the second place team here, El Paso, coming on like a freight train. The Locomotive now have won 5 straight, and they're just 2 points shy of Sacramento. It's going to be interesting to follow that battle out west.
Well, every week that we talk about the West Coast in the West Conference, Locomotive just keep climbing the ranks just a little bit at a time. And this past weekend, once again, 5 games in a row, home and away. They've been able to do on both sides of it. One of the hottest teams in the league, very organized as well. And I think that's one thing that we're seeing from this league. A lot of young coaches playing exciting football, but discipline and organization is really what's separating these teams from the top to the bottom.
When you go down to the playoff line, you see a couple of squads there of note. To Monterey Bay, Christian Valesky just named as the USL Championship Player of the Month. He won 2 Player of the Week honors over the last month. The 30-year-old, 3 goals, 2 assists over the course of the last month to win that honor. And then Phoenix Rising, right now, they're safe for the time being. But you have been very impressed with what you've seen from them. Keeping an eye on their run of play.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at style of play and style of play that's consistent and can be sustainable throughout the entire season. And teams that are just getting better every week. We're only week 9. We're talking about there's 34 weeks into the season. So who's starting to come up? Who's starting to create that identity? And I think Phoenix Rising under young coach, second-year head coach Juan Guerra, a team that's just on the climb, and they had a great performance against Hartford Athletics this week.
Let's take a closer look at our game of the week with Phoenix Rising and Hartford Athletic. Mauricio?
So cool, a team that really likes to build from the back with his goalkeepers. Real Nova's is a quality goalkeeper. He's got a lot of talent with his feet. They attract a lot of pressure to create those big gap of space in between the middle. And this is what I love. When they have midfielders facing forward with time and space, their forward line just take off. They really pin the back four at Hartford Athletics, which creates so much room to operate underneath. But they're not desperate. They don't take a whole lot of chances. They allow the midfield to join and create these little second chance opportunities. And they did this all game long. They just kept creating chances over chances. So what I love about this, they went from defense to offense. And look how quickly they transition. Hartford Athletics have several players around the ball, so they know that the open space and the open players are on the opposite side. Once again, create extra players on the opposite side of the field. And now this is where I love it. They have players that have the ability to take players 1v1. They get into the box, they get into those wide areas, either 1v1 or 2v1, and they're just dangerous. Just right outside the edge of the goal. But they're a team that continue to find the spaces. You see Danny Trejo, they're one of the better players on this team in my opinion. He's just a magician of finding open space. And when he finds it, he attracts a lot of attention. And once again, a 1v2 situation on the wide area here, crosses into the box. A team like this that creates these chances, eventually they're going to score tons of goals.
Well, speaking of goals, and you mentioned Danny Trejo, here he is.
Yeah, a player that got a little flick off. This came from a direct ball from the goalkeeper. He just takes off. He gets a flick off of his big forward. Can he beat the defenders in behind and just gets a little touch underneath the goalkeeper?
And that was an early goal that gave Phoenix Rising the lead. And then here is how Hartford Athletic got one back.
Yeah, a bit of a controversial PK. Just a hand on Hopna, the forward, trying to get a mag, and Edwards, veteran player, converts to PK right before the half. Hartford really didn't have much going in the first half, but nonetheless, they go into the halftime 1-1.
You talk about the transition from defense to offense. One little mistake here, and there goes Carlos Harvey off and running.
Yeah, and you think that this would be a bit of luck, right? I mean, yeah, there's that slip, but Harvey, and that's something that Coach Juan Guerra wants. He wants them to be on the front, wants pressing all the time, whether offensively or defensively. They just want to continue to put pressure, which makes the opposition make mistakes, and he puts it away.
And speaking of putting it away, here's how Phoenix put it away. Manuel Arteaga. The earlier goal scored by 24-year-old Danny Trejo, 23-year-old Carlos Harvey. This is, call him the veteran, Manuel Arteaga, at 28 years old, is the one on the end of this one.
Yeah, and just a bit of a coach's dream here as a goal. I mean, the game is still very much alive, 2-1, but look at the control they have of the game. They start all the way from the goalkeeper. They break lines. They secure possession. They get to the wide area as a 2v1, ball into the cross. And this is what I love. This is an identity of a team. Relentless, not to allow the ball get out of bounds. And as you mentioned, big center forward, poaching into the area, really challenging for that little flick, a real poacher's goal, a number 9's goal, and a team that if they continue this identity building, they'll be difficult to play against.
And the other thing interesting, we were talking about the style of play that you're seeing in the USL Championship. You're seeing some trends in terms of coaching styles, coaching approaches.
Yeah, just a lot of exciting coaches really allowing their teams to play, but the trade-off of being expensive and not disciplined is not an option for these coaches. They want to make sure that their teams don't concede a whole lot of goals, so they're very disciplined. Most of them are defending in a back 5, which is interesting, but when they transition forward, they go on with the back 3. That means that they're able to add those wing backs into the attack, get additional numbers forward. So exciting football being played in this league, but very structured and very disciplined.
Certainly has been some exciting soccer to watch. How about this next week? What are we going to be looking at for our game of the week coming up?
So we got a team on the East, Indy 11, that are a little bit at the bottom of that conference, but with a couple of wins can really kind of get themselves into the mix. And Colorado Switchbacks, one of the hottest teams out west, a team that has a lot of attacking power. Once again, 2 teams, young coaches, disciplined coaches, but a lot of players are exciting to watch.
Going to be a lot to look forward to as the summer creeps on, Mauricio.
Absolutely. Well, thank you once again for joining us at Mauricio's Corner. Glad to have a friend here, another teammate to the team. Excited to bring you content on the USL Championship. A lot of exciting games, as we mentioned. So please keep joining us, keep tuning in, and we'll see you next week around the corner.